This AI-generated conversation is a summary of the original Mobrium research article. Full article link below. Get your free employer reputation report outlining your company's health on sites like Glassdoor, Indeed, Comparably, and in her site. And if you're looking to grow your career, enroll in Mobrium Academy. Earn SHRM professional development credits and a certificate of employer reputation management. Scan the QR codes or visit mobrium.com.
Okay, so imagine this. You're looking for a new job, right? Scrolling through all those postings, super excited about all the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get to the company reviews.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, whoa, hold on a sec. How much can you actually trust what you see online?
Right.
That is exactly what we are diving into today.
I like it.
The sneaky ways that those employer reviews can totally mislead you.
Yeah.
Both job seekers and the companies themselves.
Absolutely. I think it's a dynamic that's, it's really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because we kind of come at it with this almost like consumer mindset.
Yeah.
We're so used to looking at reviews for like, buying a new gadget or picking a restaurant or something.
No, exactly.
But the stakes are way higher when we're talking about our careers.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to guide our deep dive today, we're looking at a recent post by Matt R. Vance, who really knows his stuff when it comes to employer branding and navigating this whole world of online reviews.
Yeah, he's great.
And he argues that just like those product reviews we're talking about, those employer reviews, they can get skewed.
They can.
In all sorts of ways, and we don't even realize it.
In ways that we don't even realize, yeah. One of the things that I find so fascinating about his work is this idea of, he calls it search result bias.
Okay.
Right? It's this kind of like almost unconscious thing that we do where we automatically filter out companies that are below a certain star rating.
Oh, for sure.
Like, you think about it, like, have you ever done that?
Oh, yeah.
Where you're like, okay, if it's not at least 4 stars,
totally.
I'm not even going to bother.
It's like an immediate, nope, next.
Yeah.
But why do we do that, though?
Yeah, I think, a big part of it is it's almost like risk aversion.
Okay.
Right? Like, we're hit with so many choices, so many options. It's like this easy shortcut.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just going to narrow it down by the star rating. But it also taps into this deep need we have for social proof.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
We're more likely to trust a company if we see that other people have given it a thumbs up.
Even if you don't know those people.
Even if we don't know them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that creates a real challenge for companies, though.
Absolutely.
Especially if they haven't really, focused on building that online presence.
Right.
They might be a fantastic place to work.
Yeah.
But if they're, kind of below that mental cutoff we have, they're almost invisible.
Yeah. It's like they're being penalized for not playing the online review game.
Right.
Even if in reality they're doing great things.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Vance doesn't stop there.
Right.
He goes on to talk about what he calls profile browse bias.
Uh-huh.
This kicks in when you actually start looking at the company profile, right?
Okay.
You see those specific ratings for things like culture, work-life balance, management, all that.
Exactly. And those can be so powerful. And right. Yeah.
Because they really tap into our own personal values and what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So like, for example, if work-life balance is super important to you, you might immediately roll out a company that has a terrible score in that area.
Yeah.
Even if their overall rating is, really high.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've definitely been there. Like, super excited about this company. And then I see that work-life balance rating is just dismal and it just kills it for me. Yeah. But it does make you wonder, how much weight should we really give those category ratings?
Right. I mean, that's the question, right?
Okay.
I think we need to remember that it's all based on individual perceptions.
Yeah.
What might be a toxic work environment for one person, someone else might be like, it's not so bad.
I can handle it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just the numbers themselves.
Right.
It's the whole context behind them.
Yeah, understanding, like, what's the story?
What's really going on? And then this leads us to the third level of bias that Vance outlines.
Okay.
Which is profile research bias.
Profile research bias. Okay.
And this is where things get really interesting because it's about how we as humans take in information online. Yeah. And Vance makes this really interesting point that most job seekers only read like a handful of reviews before forming an opinion, even if there are like hundreds available.
Yeah.
So, if those first few reviews are really glowing, you might be like, okay, I'm good. I'm sold.
Yeah.
Or if they're all really negative, you're like, okay, I'm out of here. Next.
Yeah. I can see myself doing that.
Yeah, but it seems kind of risky, right?
Yeah, super risky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Vance, he explains this tendency that we have with what he calls filter bias.
Okay.
So we tend to sort reviews by most recent or most helpful, which means we're only seeing a very small slice.
Yeah.
That might not be the whole picture at all.
So even if a company has tons of reviews, we're really just seeing the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly.
And that tip might not tell the whole story.
Yeah, it might not at all.
Not at all. Okay, so this brings us to one of Vance's, I think, most interesting points. This idea that if companies aren't being proactive, their reviews online are kind of subject to this thing he calls the law of self-selecting extremes.
Right.
Have you ever noticed that? Like the people who are most vocal, they tend to be the ones with either super positive or super negative experiences.
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Why is that? Well, there's a few psychological things going on.
Okay.
One is that those strong emotions, whether they're good or bad, they just stick with us more.
Yeah.
And they kind of motivate us.
Right, right.
So if we've had a really intense experience, we're more likely to take the time to actually write a review.
Interesting.
And then there's also this element of social comparison.
Okay.
So if we've had a bad experience, we might be more likely to want to share that online.
Yeah.
Maybe warn other people.
Right.
Or get some validation for how we're feeling.
I'm not the only one.
Exactly.
This happened to me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So if a company isn't really actively trying to get a wide range of feedback from employees, they're basically letting those most extreme voices take over their online reputation.
It makes you wonder then if those really positive or really negative reviews are the ones we see the most. How do you actually get a more balanced, accurate sense of what it's really like to work at a company?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
And it leads us right into what we'll be talking about in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to unpack some very specific things that companies can do to encourage that more balanced feedback.
Okay.
And also how job seekers like yourself can become much more savvy when it comes to reading these online reviews.
Perfect. I'm ready for part 2.
Awesome.
Okay, so we've uncovered all these hidden biases that really shape how we see these employer reviews.
Yeah.
But how does that actually play out in the real world? It's one thing to kind of get the concept, but then to see it in action.
Exactly. I mean, let's take that search result bias we were talking about.
Okay.
Imagine you're like a recruiter, right? You're trying to find a data scientist.
Yep.
You go to one of the, popular job sites. You type in your keywords. Boom. You get hundreds of candidates, right?
So many.
But then you do that thing where you sort by company rating.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, anything below 4 stars, I'm out.
Right.
So you might be missing out on some awesome people.
Yeah.
Simply because those companies, for whatever reason, haven't cracked the code of getting those high ratings.
Yeah, it's like you think, especially in a field like tech, which is so competitive, you'd want to cast a wider net. But it's like we're so programmed to just look at the stars.
Yeah, that's the thing about those biases.
Yeah.
They're sneaky, they're working in the background, and we don't even realize they're shaping our decisions.
Right. And it's not just that overall star rating either.
No.
Like those category ratings, those can be even more impactful.
Especially for people who are really clear about what they want in a job.
Oh, absolutely. Like, let's say I really care about, professional development, opportunities to learn and grow. I see a company, awesome, 4.8 stars.
Great.
But then I dig a little deeper, and their career growth rating is a 2. That's a red flag for me.
Major red flag, yeah.
Big time.
It makes you wonder, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Suddenly that shiny overall rating doesn't seem so shiny anymore,
Right. And then this is where that profile research bias comes in.
Exactly.
We tend to just skim a few reviews, right? Maybe pick the ones that, support what we already believe.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, decision made.
Yeah. We jump to a conclusion.
But is that not dangerous to do?
It is super dangerous.
Yeah.
Because remember those reviews, they're just one person's snapshot,
Yeah.
Often written when they're feeling really strongly about something.
So they might have had a bad day.
Yeah, maybe they had a bad day.
Or just, some personal thing going on.
Right, or their own biases,
So instead of focusing on one glowing review or one terrible review.
Yeah.
You kind of have to zoom out.
See the bigger picture. Look for the patterns, the themes.
Ooh, yes.
Right, not just those isolated incidents.
Like, okay, what are the things that people keep bringing up, whether it's good or bad?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, what are the most common praises or complaints?
Yeah.
And who's writing these reviews?
Yeah.
What are their backgrounds? What were their experiences like?
Right. It's like being a detective almost.
It is, kind of.
But even with the best detective work, like those biases are still there, you know?
They are, yeah.
So what can we do, both as like job seekers and companies,
Right.
to kind of mitigate those biases and make things a little fairer?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for companies, it's about moving beyond just passively hoping for those good reviews, right?
Okay.
It's about taking control, managing their online reputation,
Yeah.
being proactive.
So it's not just about like trying to make your company look good online.
Right.
It's about actually taking that feedback and using it to get better.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, when you do ask for reviews, don't just like send a mass email to everybody
Right.
and be like, hey, leave us a review.
Please, 5 stars.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it strategically.
Okay.
Target different departments, different levels of seniority,
Yeah.
different demographics.
Okay.
Make sure you're getting a variety of voices.
And don't forget to make it easy for them. Like give clear instructions, direct links.
Yeah,
Make it simple.
exactly. And maybe even offer a little something for their time,
Okay.
Right.
Right.
But I think the most important thing is authenticity.
Okay.
Employees can spot a fake a mile away.
Yeah, totally.
But if they see that you really genuinely care about their feedback
Yeah.
and that you're actually going to use it to make things better, that shines through.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's not about like gaming the system. It's about having that genuine back and forth
Right, yeah.
between employers and employees.
Yeah.
What about from the job seeker side, though?
Yeah.
What can we do to avoid falling into those bias traps?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, just be aware of the biases, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've been talking about them.
Yeah.
Once you know they're there, you can start to counteract them.
Yeah.
Don't just skim the surface, really dig deep,
Okay.
read lots of different reviews from different people. Look for those patterns, those themes we were talking about.
Yeah.
And, don't be afraid to go beyond just what's online.
Right.
Talk to real people
Yeah.
who work there or used to work there.
Yeah.
Go to events,
Yeah.
network.
All right.
Use your connections to get those real, like, firsthand insights.
Yeah, because those real world conversations, they can be so valuable.
They add a whole other layer, right? You
Yeah.
just can't get that from reading, even if you're, like, super carefully analyzing reviews.
Yeah, totally. And this brings us to another kind of really interesting piece of this whole puzzle, the role of technology.
Oh, yeah.
So we've talked about all the human biases.
Right.
But now we're throwing AI into the mix.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, AI is entering the chat.
Yeah.
What are these tools actually doing?
Oh, they're doing some pretty amazing things.
Okay.
They can analyze, like tons of data from
Yep.
different sources,
Uh-huh.
and they can identify patterns, give insights. That would be, like, impossible for us to do on our own.
It's like they're these super analysts.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Crunching numbers and spotting trends.
They can help companies understand, like, the overall feeling behind those reviews, Like,
Yeah.
where are the pain points?
Yeah.
What are people loving?
Okay.
They can even predict, like, which employees might be thinking about leaving
Whoa.
based on their online activity.
That's getting really sophisticated.
It is.
But is that not kind of creepy?
Well, that's a good point.
Like, are we heading to a world where AI is like tracking everything we do?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to think about the ethics of it all.
Yeah.
Transparency is key.
Yeah.
Making sure employees are on board with it.
Right. It's all about that balance.
Yeah.
Like, yes, using the power of tech, but also, respecting people's privacy.
Exactly. And it's not just about analyzing data either. Some of these tools, they can help companies automate that whole process of getting reviews,
Okay. Yeah.
which can be a huge time saver.
Right. Because we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Making it easy for employees to leave feedback.
Yeah. So they can, tailor those requests, send them to the right people,
Okay.
even keep track of who's responding, who's not.
So it's like having like a virtual assistant
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
dedicated to managing your online reputation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sounds pretty efficient.
It can be.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, technology, it's just a tool, right?
Yeah.
It's all about how we use it.
Yeah, it's not some magic solution.
Right.
It's about using it the right way, making sure it's ethical.
Yeah, and I think for job seekers, these tools, they can be super helpful.
Okay.
You know, for cutting through all the noise,
Yeah.
finding the information that really matters.
Okay.
Like they can help you tailor your search.
Yeah.
Find those companies that match your values.
Okay.
Even connect you with people in your network who've worked at those places,
Yeah.
you know?
It's almost like having like a career coach
Yeah.
in your pocket.
Yeah.
But like any tool, you got to use it wisely.
Exactly.
Don't just blindly trust the AI.
Right.
Do your own research. Trust your gut.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance between using the power of technology and like making your own decisions.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
But there's one more kind of critical piece that we need to get to.
Okay.
In part 3, we're going to look at how all this impacts company culture
Yeah.
and what a really authentic, transparent review system could look like. All right, so we've talked about all these biases, strategies, even AI getting involved in employer reviews.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, how does this all impact actual company culture, right?
You're right.
Can a company actually have like a truly great culture
Right.
if they're like obsessing over every single online review?
That's a great question. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in that numbers game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Chasing those 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure nothing negative ever gets said.
Yeah.
But real, like, thriving company culture,
Yeah.
it goes way deeper than that.
So it's not just about like managing how you look online.
Right.
It's about actually living those values in every single thing you do.
Exactly. Think of the reviews as a symptom, not the disease, right?
Okay.
So if you're seeing a bunch of negative reviews, it's telling you something, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Something might be off. Maybe there's like a lack of communication,
Yeah.
or people don't trust each other.
Yeah.
Or maybe the company says one thing about its values,
Yeah.
but then the way they actually act is totally different.
So even though those negative reviews can be tough to read,
Yeah,
they can actually be a good thing in a way, right?
totally.
Because they force you to like look in the mirror and say,
Yeah, it's a wake-up call. Like, are we actually walking the walk, or are we just talking the talk?
right. Okay.
You know, it forces you to ask those tough questions.
It's like those reviews are holding up a mirror to the company,
Right.
showing them the good and the bad.
I love that. The mirror analogy. Yeah.
But it's not just about reacting to negative reviews, right?
No.
It's about actually building a culture where from day one,
Yeah.
feedback is welcomed, whether it's good or bad.
Right. You got to bake it into the DNA of the company.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, so like regular check-ins with your team, open door policies, surveys, suggestion boxes,
Yeah.
whatever works for that company.
Right. Whatever fits.
Yeah. And it has to come from the top, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if the leadership doesn't care about feedback,
Right.
if they only want to hear, you know, glowing praise,
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone else picks up on that.
Absolutely. They have to set the example, right?
They do. They got to walk the walk.
Not just talk about it.
Exactly. And show that they're actually going to like make changes
Yeah.
based on what they hear.
About building that trust, right?
Yeah.
Making people feel like, okay, I can speak my mind here.
Exactly.
My voice will be heard.
And that's when things get really cool.
Okay.
When you have that foundation of trust,
Yeah.
you can start to actually use reviews in a positive way.
Okay.
It's not about like damage control anymore. It's about getting better all the time.
So instead of being scared of the reviews,
Yeah.
companies can use them to improve.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Imagine a world where companies are like, hey, everyone, please share your experiences, good, bad, whatever.
Okay.
We want to know so we can make this place even better.
Okay.
And then job seekers can get the real scoop,
Yeah.
not just a few, you know, hand-picked reviews.
That sounds ideal, but can we actually get there?
I think we can.
Okay.
It's going to take a shift in how we think, both for companies and job seekers.
Yeah.
Companies need to see feedback as a good thing,
Right.
not something to be scared of.
Yeah.
And then job seekers,
Yeah.
we got to be smarter about what we read.
Okay.
We can't just take those reviews at face value.
Yeah.
We got to get different perspectives, you know?
Okay.
Really do our homework.
Yeah.
And maybe AI can help us do that.
Right.
You know, we talked about those tools that can, like, analyze what people are feeling,
Yeah.
spot trends, even make the whole feedback process more personalized.
Okay.
So maybe AI can help us cut through the noise, get to the good stuff, make things fairer for everyone.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's up to us.
It is.
The humans.
We got to use those tools the right way.
So to wrap up our deep dive into all this employer review stuff, the big takeaway is it's not just about the stars.
Right.
It's about the why behind those stars. It's about building a company where people trust each other, where things are transparent, where everyone's always trying to get better.
Beautifully said.
And remembering that feedback, whether it's good or bad, it can help us learn and grow.
And that journey toward a more, real, insightful review system.
Yeah.
It's just getting started. It's a conversation. It's evolving.
Yeah.
And the more we talk about it, the better those workplaces will become.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes. Thank you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep learning.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow Mobrium on your favorite social media platforms for more tips and research about employer reputation, employer branding, and company culture.